Miss Hardinge, The Spiritual Magazine, 1865. Is faith necessary in order to acquire knowledge? Faith is knowledge, the soul's knowledge of that which the intellect, the reason, the judgment, that is to say, the external or human sense, whose cumulative powers are intellect, reason, sense, and judgment, have not reached. That, I say, is the soul's knowledge, which the external mind has not attained to. Our souls are wiser than we know of. The attributes of our spirits are mightier far than their exhibition through the mere external mask of the body. Hence, when the soul intuitively appreciates any knowledge or forms any conception of truth, which it has not acquired through any of the external or ordinary channels of information common to man and called knowledge, that is faith. Is faith, then, necessary to knowledge? To what kind of knowledge? All knowledge that the mind can acquire through the avenues of the senses may be gathered first from observation or instruction, or from any of the ordinary modes of obtaining information, and then applied to the intellect according to its capacity to receive knowledge. That is the ordinary process by which intellect is educated, by which we arrive at what we call knowledge. Now be pleased to rehearse each one in his own mind that which you say you know. You understand by the words you know all that you have learnt from infancy, all that you have observed in the daily habits of life, all that you believe and which you have passed judgment upon through the senses. Is this all that you know? You know the sun will rise tomorrow. You have faith in it, not alone because astronomy lays down for you a certain amount of fixed, abstract, scientific knowledge, for we know that the exact sciences carry us up to a certain point, and then, like Babbage's calculating machine, they fail. Where are our exact sciences? Exact, according to our comprehension of the word, at some point or other they fail. Hence, all that the knowledge acquired by the senses can inform you of is but a belief, or a hope, or a trust, which you vaguely call knowledge. But there is something more within your soul. That spirit which communes with the Great Spirit, that consciousness which bears witness of the attributes of the common Father and Author of creation, that spiritual recognition of eternity and infinity, which the soul alone possesses, assures us of permanence, eternal permanence, assures us of that which we do not know, and that is faith. Even so of our recognition of the soul's immortality. Neither logic nor reason, nor gospel creed, nor revelation put it into the heart of man to believe it. God himself wrote it there. When he made the soul, he formed within it a witness, speechless, incomprehensible by aid of sensuous perception, but yet a faith that trusts in the soul's own nature, a recognition of its deathless character, a perception of its alliance with an eternal Author, which originated the idea of God, and has handed down the belief in immortality from one generation to another, and will carry us forward to its perfect realization in eternity. That is faith. Even so, in those forms of spiritual manifestation anciently called miracle, and at present modern spiritualism. I prefer to illustrate my position upon these points because here, far more than any mere amount of knowledge that we can apply by sensuous perception to the mind, does the line of demarcation between faith and intellectual understanding arise. You require faith, it was said of old, for the performance of miracles. It was affirmed so by one in whom you all trust, by one whom the light of the growing ages has revealed in a broader and yet more divine view, with every advancing step that we take in science. For we perceive not alone that he was true in morals, but we now recognize the deep philosophy of those hidden parables by which he communicated the eternal wisdom of God to those who could not comprehend him. Amongst these communing we find the constant demand for faith from those upon whom he would have exercised his divine and beneficent power. Wherefore did he ask that which would not be rendered to him? For a condition of mind is not influenced by will. Our will, as we term it, is but an outgrowth of our minds, not the master of our minds. That which we vaguely called will is a result and not a cause. And yet Jesus demanded faith. Could he, the greatest of philosophers, the truest of teachers, have acquired for that which was not possible to be given? No, but he required to know the conditions existing in his subjects ere he could perform the operations of his beneficent will. When the spirit whom he addressed recognized that the cure was with the master, it was the knowledge that the cure was there. It was the adaptation of the subject to the operator. It was the recognition that he who was to be benefited was already in rapport with his benefactor. And where the spirits thus harmonized, and the magnetisms formed a complete chain of unicism, the cure was inevitable. Even so today. Understand more analytically that mind is a substance, that it is the substance of the soul, the exhibition of the soul's perception, and you will not peevishly demand faith, but you will question if it be there. If it be, assure yourself that it is the reaching out of one invisible soul to another. It is already the perception between the magnet and the lodestone. It is already the recognition between the needle and the magnet. I should say it is the perception that there is a scientific adaptation of magnetisms, an absolute relation of spirits, and this is not knowledge as you term it. You may call it indeed the knowledge of the soul, but faith is the highest and grandest description of knowledge. It is the perception to which human intellect alone can never attain, which scholasticisms can never teach. Not all the power of optics, not all the aid of human instruments, can ever enable you to perceive your own soul. But by faith you respect it, you know it. You feel it, you acknowledge it, although you cannot see it. Not all the powers of scholasticism can teach you of a God so faithfully as God has already taught the poorest savage that has never drunk at the fountain of human knowledge. He feels his God about him. He beholds in the grand machinery of creation the writing of his God. He cannot tell you why no human scientific knowledge put this perception within him, and nothing can improve upon it. I might repeat then, that faith is the soul's knowledge. Learning, scholasticisms, whatever cultivates the intellect, is the man's and the senses' knowledge.